here, so this is good, right? Good. Now, good afternoon all of you, good afternoon ladies and gentlemen, all my dear friends. It gives me great pleasure to find all of you gathered here today, despite all the rules of Corona and everything that we are going through. And I'm just very thankful, very grateful that all of you could be here. And I think I shall start this presentation also by thanking Albert Kivitz, who is the director of Bibliothek Eindhoven, and also Susan Brinkmann. She's not here today, but she is the event coordinator, for hosting this event and giving me the opportunity to meet all of you here and say a little bit about my literary journey so far. I shall also especially thank the Dutch poet and performance artist Carola Eisenring. We have her with her here today. And she very gracefully, very spontaneously, she offered to read a couple of poems from my book with the musical accompaniment of her two very talented musicians from her Burning Blood group, and I am looking forward to that particular event. And I welcome all of you here, Carola especially, and your musical team. And I will be thankful. I give my thanks to Karishma, who has given such a beautiful, loving introduction to my book. And after the heavy adjectives that she used for me and all the the gregarious words that she used for me, I don't think I need anything more to say about myself. I mean, I will just be very happy to say that I am the author of this book, Cross-Stitched Words. And this is my first book as a solo author. This is a collection of prose poems where I have tried to connect and engage the inner life of our hearts through words and through poetry. That is what the book is all about. And I think I am going to start with the question which I have received after this book was published. And the book and the question was, when did it all start? So let me see if it works. So yeah, here you see it is a book which is published in the USA by a publication house called Setu Publications. It came out in the year 2021 February, and then this is actually the question that I have received. When did it all start, or how did it all start? Now, to answer that question, I have to take all of you thousands of kilometers away to India, many years also. When I was, as a child, I was growing up in a very small city. And if I look back, then I see that the influence of my maternal grandfather was really quite an important one. He was a very ordinary person. He was doing all the ordinary things that any man would do to keep his home happy and to bring all the happiness to his family. What made him extraordinary, I think, is the way he he composed poems in his mind. He did it orally. He was never writing it down, and those were not really the kind of poems that I have written. Those were basically humoristic lines, and those contained some or the other kind of message, and he used to recite them, or he used to kind of sing them out to the grandchildren. But even at that time, my interest was mainly with the words, and not so much with the tune and with the songs, because it was very interesting to me how the words came together and how they took shape and how they got the power to inspire us, to make us happy, and also to sadden us sometimes. So that is basically how my interest with the words grew as a child. And I think that is what also I had tried to capture while I was describing the poetic process in one of my one of my poems, which is called, I think it is, if I put it here, it is called Forever is Born. And I think it is in page 25. And I will read out a little bit, although you can see it in the screen also. I am not a very good, how do you say it? I'm not a very good orator, you know. I can't read very well. I don't have that modulation in my voice. I can write somewhat well, but I am not a very good orator. So I will just read it plainly. So it goes something like this. Forever is born. And it says, sometimes the words slip and slide off the mind, scatter on the floor, scratch on the paper, gnaw at your soul and shiver into meaning. Then a poem is born. Sometimes the words tilt, swim in the ink pot, scratch magic on paper, combine with our winged dreams and flow through us like rivers. Then forever is born. Thank you. So this is my first published book, like I said, as a solo author. But my journey with the words had begun quite early in my life. So when I was in my school, I was writing for the school magazines, let us say. And then through my college days and university days, I was trying my hand at writing once in a while. Then 2 of my poems got published in 2 of the national newspapers of India. One was in the Asian Age, the other was the Sunday Statesman. And then my college professors, they suddenly said that, look, you have this skill, why don't you do something about it seriously? But you know how it is in college days, you know, we were busy with too many other things, and at that time actually I was also following a degree course in mass communication and journalism. So my main interest was there, how to make news and how to, you know, that was my main interest was to go into journalism. And also you have to remember, India is a very big country. And it is simply not easy that somebody just walks into print media and becomes a part of it. I was not that good. I was just writing, you know. So basically that is what a little bit how it was. But even then, I did not throw away the words of my professors. I was still writing, you know. And before I moved to the Netherlands, I was writing for some very small Indian journals and Indian magazines. But it all kind of stopped when I came here because language was a barrier, was a big barrier. And it took me quite some years to learn the language. And then afterwards, I took some time to find my path in this country. But even when I was not writing at that time for the journals maybe, but I was writing for myself. It has always been my passion. I've always written something or the other, whatever is coming in my mind. That's also one way how I can stop the noises that are in my mind. So when I write down something, then the noises are out of my mind. So that's basically how it all started. So, you know what? I can read out one more poem from my book, which is called Roots. And that particular poem, I can try to see if it's here. Yeah, it is there. So this particular poem is very, very, it's very, very close to my heart because I got a lot of comments after the book was published. And usually the comments were from people like myself, people like me, who had to leave their birthland and come to a different country. Sometimes we leave our birth country because we are seeking a good future, you know, we are seeking a good career in a different country. but sometimes we leave a country because there is a war, or because you are being persecuted in a land, or because once suddenly you see that the freedom that you were born with is taken away from you and you don't have that freedom of expression in your own country. So the reasons can be many, but what happens is whenever we move from our land, wherever we go, we carry that root along with us. And although we embrace the land and cherish the land where we go, but this nostalgia is still attached to the root that we carry along with us, and it is always there with us, the roots that we grow with. So this particular poem, I have tried to capture that essence or that particular feeling, and it also is something which it is actually based on a real life experience of an undocumented migrant. And his case I was translating from Dutch to English for a how do you call it, for a voluntary organization, for a social work organization that I was working for at that time as a volunteer, not a paid job, it was a volunteer job. So this is how it goes. It says, roots like footnotes on pages stay underground amidst dirt and bombs, crawl spread in endless intimacy, in dark silence, like words connecting the dots, creating a manuscript of my life, whispering the tale of my childhood, sprouting up like untamed flowers, sieving the bark of my ancestry that once murmured resistance in a land called genocide, the one I escaped, carrying the knotted, tangled roots along. So, as a diaspora poet or as a diaspora author, this feeling of split identity or a hybrid identity is something which comes back to my mind again and again, and through my mind then it comes to my work. And having lived in this country for such a long time, when I look at myself nowadays, I see myself poised between two different cultures, and then my journey is to seek a sense of belonging in both these cultures through my work. So that was something, this poem is really very, very close to my heart. I don't know whoever has read this book, probably you have also read it. So then, this is something, so then what else can I say about this particular weight? Let me think. I had written down something somewhere. Yeah, so then the point is, how did this book happen? I have told you how I was as a child. I have told you what happened when I was in my college, but then how did this book happen? That is the question. So I think to answer that, I have to go to the next slide, where I say, so this is the first translation work that I did, and it came out in the year 2019, but it was published, it came out in Netherlands in 2020. So that was the first translation book which I did. Now that was a translation. It was, originally the book was written in Bengali, which is my mother tongue, and I translated it from Bengali to English. But this book actually got good reviews, and it was really appreciated back home in India with the literary community. And those literary friends, they started asking me, why don't you bring out your own book? Why don't you bring out your own book? But then I was not ready for that. I was not ready for that. I was completely, how do you call it? I was lacking in confidence. I will be very honestly, I will confess, I was lacking in confidence simply because I always thought that bringing out one's own book is a huge responsibility. Translation is different. Somebody else has written it. I have just taken that thing and I have translated it into different language. But if I have to write my own thing, then it is my words. And it takes a huge lot of courage, it takes a huge lot of responsibility to bring it out. I wasn't ready for that. Also, it was a time when I was not in the best of my, not in the best phase of my life, so to say. I had given up my job, I didn't have a job. I had decided to start my own company, and I thought that I would be, giving language lessons to the students, but my company was non-existent. I didn't have any students at that time, so my company was going nowhere. And also I was struggling on many other levels, this and that. So it was not the best phase of my life, and I was, questioning a lot of things in my life. So during that phase of time, it was not the best phase of time, and to make matters even worse, the pandemic also came. So it was not a great time, so to say. And if you remember, the pandemic, it started in the year 2020, in early spring. If I can take all of you back to that moment, you will remember that the newspaper suddenly started talking about virus, pandemic, and social distancing and masks and all kinds of things. So it came like that, very stealthily, very slowly, and it gathered shape and it gathered power, and the entire mankind, the entire world, it came to a screeching halt. That is how it happened, right? So you must be thinking, why is she talking about pandemic? I mean, did she forget? It is a book presentation. Did she forget that? No, I didn't forget. Why I'm saying this is because I happened to work on this book in that mind frame. That is what I have. That is the reason I'm telling you, giving you the background. That was the mind frame. That was the background where this book was worked upon. And while I was in this kind of a dilemma, in this kind of a mind frame, I happened to have a conversation with Heidi Loss. Now, Heidi is not here today. I was really expecting her. But I happened to have a conversation with Heidi Loss. Now, you'll be thinking, who is Heidi? Now, Heidi is a reputed, I don't know, many of you probably know her. If you don't know her, then she is, this is Heidi. I'm truly missing her today. She is a reputed expat partner career coach, and she has her own company, Design Your Own Future. And now we were not talking about my career at all. I mean, my career was not going anywhere, so we were not talking about that. We were talking about something else, about general things in life. So I just happened to mention to her about my dilemma as to whether I should bring out this book or not, and so after this lively discussion, she gave me 2 questions to carry home. And the questions were, what would happen if you bring out this book, and what would happen if you never sent this book to the manuscript? It never sent this manuscript to the publishers at all. So when I heard the questions, I said, yeah, okay, these 2 questions, you know what, yeah, I understand. But later on, when I was thinking about those 2 questions, I realized that it would be too great a regret to live with if I never tried it even once. So that is how it started. If Heidi was there today, she could have told you what she felt, and later on we did have a nice laugh, nice chat about this. But this was also something, this discussion. I'm not saying that this discussion is the life-changing discussion. I'm not saying that, but this discussion kind of, it broke that mental block that I was having about not publishing my book. So I am very glad that I had that conversation with her on that day, and I cherish that discussion. And if she were here today, I would truly have loved to say that in her presence. So that is how I thought that I must do this. Okay, but then what happened? I started sending the manuscripts, but then I started getting rejected. There were several rejections. You will not believe how many. Because nobody knew me. Who was I? I was nobody. I was just writing something. But then why should my writing be accepted? Why? I mean, why? And then so I got many rejections. I was trying to find out why are they rejecting my manuscript? I mean, where am I going wrong? But nobody was saying this, only very subtly. They were trying to say, you know what, poetry, it doesn't have a marketability. I mean, who reads poetry? I mean, you know what, write something else. These kind of very subtly they were trying to say, until there was a particular gentleman, a particular publisher who said it in so many words: we do not publish poetry. Poetry is dead. So
Thank you.
I was like, okay, poetry is dead. Now. And it kind of saddened me immensely. Not because they were not publishing my book. I was sad to think that, you know, what kind of society are we creating where there will be no poetry? And also, I kind of thought that can we really undermine the healing powers of poetry, especially in the time where we are now? So those were certain things, but yeah, okay, who is going to listen to me? Who am I? So I thought, okay, this is not going to happen. I had almost given up my hope, and then finally I got this message from this particular house, Setu, who said that our panel of editors have gone through it and they like the book. They can bring it out provided you do some work with the poems, because the poems were written, as I said, throughout many different phases of my life, and they wanted me to rework on it so that it could be kind of print ready. Okay, so that is the next phase. Then that is how I started working on the poems. And while I was working on these poems, we all remember the times, the distressful time of the pandemic. We all had our moments of distress as we sat before the television, looking at the horrible news and everything, you know. So things which I had already known, which I knew already, those things started making sense more prominently to me. For example, we all know how, you know, life is very short, that we all know that. But when I sat in front of the television, I also lost 4 members in my extended family in COVID. So all these things also had an impact on writing this book. It simply told me, or it impressed upon me that life is short, but you know what, it is impermanent, but in this impermanent life we are all searching for permanent solutions. How that is something which impressed upon me. And what I also realized is that the focus should be on the simpler things in life, and you know, where we can give more attention to the kind of the simplest blessings that we have in our lives. So those kind of things. But then the question is, you know, was this book then written from a perspective of a very depressive mindset? Is this a very depressive book then? That is sometimes a question which I sometimes get. No, my answer is no, that is not the case. The book was worked upon during that time, but I chose to carry the message of hope amidst fear. I did not choose for fear, I have chosen for hope, and that is what I want to say in this particular book. So, you know, for one thing, what I can tell you is this: while I was working on this book, it was also an amazing experience in the sense that it also brought me very close to nature. Because if you remember, there was a lockdown in this country. We were not allowed to go anywhere. We were all locked up in our house. The only place where we could go was in the nature. We could take a walk and this and that. does it mean then that before I was taking the walks and nothing impressed upon me, and only during the time of pandemic when I went to take a walk, so many things came to me? No, it was not like that. It wasn't like that. Like I said, the things were all there, but it started making more sense because of the backdrop of that particular situation. We are still in that situation. So that is something. What I also realized is that the external world is always changing, and it is never quiet. It is very noisy. So for that peace or for that balance, you have to look inside, and that is something which also helped me in writing this book. So when I looked in sort of deep introspection, that was a time for deep introspection for me. So these are certain things which I wanted to share with you, and there are also questions. So does it mean that the book is very autobiographical? Have I written everything in this book? Is it then very personal? No, that is also not true. Because the book actually, it delves with the universal theme. The theme, I have also written about climate change. There is a poem on climate change in this book. I have also written about, I think I have also written about the forcible killing of fetus, because it is a girl child, which is also happens to be a social problem in my country. I have also written about the raging fires, the forest fires, which is also a kind of signal for the mankind to wake up. And I have also written about love and relationships. And I have written about the pain that a person feels when he or she loses a loved one. I have written about all those things, and those are not personal, but those are also very universal. So more or less, these are certain things which I thought that I would like to share and give it a place in this presentation. And I think this is where the first segment of my presentation should end. And I think you are also very tired of hearing my voice continuously. So I will now take the time to call upon stage Carola, and she is a Dutch poet. She is also a performance artist, and like I said, she has very willingly, offered to read a couple of poems from my book with the musical accompaniment of the members of her Burning Blood group. And I'm just looking forward to it. This is going to be one of its kind performance. So Carola, the stage is yours.